Boys, we made it. This is chapter 100 of Dicey Waters, and it's going to be a doozy. I've come prepared for the occasion, and I hope you've come with your D20s, because you're going to tell me what happened over the last 100 episodes.
I'm not coming on anything.
I refuse. I will quit. I
refuse because I rolled a 17 and I don't want to roll again.
Question: can we roll a D100 instead to celebrate?
Yeah, roll a D100 and you'll only have to recap one episode. Thank you, Matt.
I rolled a 75. I rolled a 75. I feel like it's pretty high.
Mm-hmm. That's
I feel like that makes me bulletproof in more ways.
It's like
I got a
29. Oh, that's not good. Okay.
Oh. 81. I got an 81.
81. Oh, Matt's looking bad for you.
I got a 52.
Okay, so Matt, that's you. Would you please...
I shall reap what I sowed.
Recapitulate the events of chapter 99. As you can tell, listeners...
Why do you say these things?
I mean, that's what recap is short for.
I understand that, but like...
This is episode 100, so I'm going to long form every word I possibly can.
Matthew. Long form these nuts.
Let's go, Matt!
Oh my god.
How did that happen?
You did walk right into that, though.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed.
Oofta. All right.
And he's so happy, though. I hate to take it away from him.
I'm
That's
smiling
the thing.
so much right now.
You want him to stop, but you also love him and want him to be happy. And
I stopped for so long. I only ever made these nuts jokes in the beginning when we were dicking around. I never made one during an episode for the longest time.
Okay, let me dig through my edits as recent as probably 92 and see what I can find.
That's a long time for us. That's months.
That's fair. Matthew, could you please recap episode 99 of Dicey Waters?
Okay. So, previously on Dice Populi, we start to wrap up the intense fight with Gemma. Not Jetta, Gemma. Almost everybody is tortured with thoughts of how they failed in their past. Maeve especially is especially confounded with a plate of chicken tendies. And being the child she is, and with my playing in character, Maeve was very hesitant to apologize for murdering Gemma's parents. Even though murder precludes intent, which
manslaughter.
It was so much slaughter. Eventually, everybody coaxes an apology out of Maeve, and she does feel bad. Mostly, she's super moody about it, and she goes to jump off the tower and ends up facing Seraphina, who is all better now, and I think less decrepit.
All better now.
Am I, or do I have that backwards?
I don't remember you being moody about it and jumping off the tower. I don't remember that.
No, because I wanted to dimension door off the top of the tower. And just be whatever, I'm so done with this.
Whatever.
And then poof, Seraphina.
And when you went to go,
I'm off to murder another family.
Like a Klingon with an intercepting transporter beam, you landed on the wrong ship.
Different Klingon, got it.
So you are in the white space with Seraphina, who, after you apologized to Gemma, and she felt some companionship and support from the crew, relinquished the powers that she apparently stole, and Seraphina appears to be in good health. We ended with Maeve asking Seraphina to join them on their quest, and when you mentioned that Lema is dead, Seraphina's sort of, kind of, not really, and the hand of Lema, the pink crystal, begins to glow. And
maybe to you, Lamo.
And that is where we're going to pick up.
Is that what followers of Lema are called?
Lamo.
Absolutely, yeah.
Unintentionally, an amazing choice on my end. Yeah, I'll take that. It was it was intentional.
Maeve, you are standing in front of Seraphina in the white space, and she is towering over you, many stories tall, looking upon you with the same sort of benevolence as when you first saw her at the tower many months ago. As the glowing hand of Lema pulsates in your own hand, it becomes clear to you that though Lema the goddess, the entity, is no longer present, some remnant of her power is still accessible. What Seraphina is trying to communicate to you exactly, You don't know. She hasn't been very clear, but she's still standing there with a big old smile. What do you do?
Can I make either an Arcana or Religion check to, I guess...
What are you trying to discern?
Just learn anything about the crystal, just by a quick glance on it.
Arcana, please.
Okay. Oh, fuck, that is an 18.
With the 18, whether it is due to the presence of Seraphina or the ring that you're wearing on your finger, you don't know, but you do feel a similar energy pulsing through the hand of Lema, just like you felt in the time-shattered Nar-Enial and in the time-shattered Arianor. You have tried to use these crystals outside of areas where these fields are inactive, and they've done nothing, but for some reason, this is active here. You don't know why, but when you actually focus your attention on it, you can tell that this will serve as a conduit for those powers if you so choose. What will happen? You don't know, but it is responsive.
Okay, cool. Hey guys. I think
you are alone in the white space with Seraphina.
Okay, never mind. Hey Seraphine.
Yes.
Okay. I think I know what we need to do. Can you, send me back to the ship, or...?
I can return you to the top of the tower where your friends are currently awaiting your arrival, if that is all right with you.
Any chance you could, drop me off at the ship? Because I kind of don't want to see them right now. Nothing against...
She gets a little cagey about this, and she's like, the tower would be a little bit more comfortable of a destination. I wouldn't want to overstep my bounds respecting personal property and all that. That ship, I don't know who owns it. She's getting a little evasive.
Insight check.
Roll it.
All right. Nat 20. Oh my god.
Oh, you insight that damn god.
When Seraphina gets awkward, it's alarming. Not because the awkwardness itself is alarming, but because she has only presented herself to you with the regal poise you would expect of a goddess. And this doesn't feel like a goddess. This feels like someone who doesn't want to be in a conversation. Mm-hmm. You feel like you have the social upper hand for a second. And I don't know exactly how Maeve conceives of the Pantheon, or if she does, but that's not very typical.
What? Is there something about the Liberty that makes you nervous?
I am content to support the people within my domain here in Felldrom. And as such, I will gladly return you to the tower where we first met. It has been such a joy to see you again, and I thank you for restoring me to my current state.
Well, hold on.
At that, she just returns you to the tower. You're still saying, hold on, as you are returned to the tower, and everyone is standing around you now, and Seraphina still floats in front of you.
In front of everybody.
Yes, yeah. So
okay.
You're not interrupted, but this does happen while you're saying hold on.
Hold on. Oh, hi guys, I'm back.
Okay, sweet. Glad to see you're all right.
Well, she's looking a heck of a lot better than last time we saw her. And Bottle Brew just sort of takes his hat off and sits down and puts his head in his hands, contemplating reliving his entire life.
Bald head.
If I could get a glass of water.
Seraphina doesn't even get nitpicky about the fact that you didn't wish for it. She looks at you, and a pitcher of water appears on the floor in front of you.
Oh, could somebody just pour that in my face, please?
She doesn't do that, but she does look around and start repairing the cracks in the tower with her mind. Does anyone?
Guess I will pour the water in his fucking face.
So thirsty.
There you go, fully.
Is that you, Locke? I'm so tired.
Shh. Important people are talking now.
Is there a god? I don't have the strength to turn my neck.
Jetta just kind of takes his head and just gently turns it towards Seraphina. Good now.
Kalt, for the first time, you make direct eye contact with the physical representation of a god outside of the astral plane, and the light shining upon you is glorious and nearly overwhelming for your achy neck.
Happy 100 episodes! Yay!
Cool. And then he's just going to pass out.
So, Seraphina, we have come a long way to get your help.
Your friend mentioned this to me. I'm eager to provide you with what help I can.
The issue is, we have 2 out of 3 people that we need. You're one of them. The other one, we know where he is, Galagath. We just got to go back and get him.
Maeve was mentioning to me the passing of my sister, though it seems a part of her lives on in all of you. And she says this with like a sweeping gesture. She opens her hands in front of her, gesturing to all of you.
What, like metaphorically, or?
Yes and no, but also we have, I pulled up the crystal. Is it still glowing?
Yeah, it's not like glowing, but it's buzzing in your hand a tiny bit. If you focus on it, you can tell.
Yeah, we've got this crystal thing, and it's like, I kind of want to do the thing where we cast a spell and it does a weird thing, but also I really want to take a nap.
Seraphina's face starts scrunching as you say that.
Thing?
You know what I mean.
Well, okay, I suppose I should ask. You are here, requesting the help of a goddess of benevolence, of giving, and of blessings. What is it that you require of me? And she addresses this primarily to Jeddah, because Jeddah was elucidating the situation.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you're 1/3 of a bigger god.
She smiles and nods humbly.
And we would like you to become that one bigger god again, so then that god can then help us make a better world somehow.
Is Jeddah God-splaining right now?
I'm God-splaining.
Seraphina does look a little confused and says, forgive me, if this sounds condescending at all, but how would you plan to transform a god from one state into another?
I hear Minnesota's good.
Oh my god.
Fucking got him. You know what, Colin? End this podcast right now.
Locke gets thrown off the tower.
I'm sorry.
Fucking get wrecked.
Jenna just walks off the tower. She's done with everything and
Okay.
everyone.
No, so Seraphina does ask, how would you convert a god?
I have no clue, actually. Gonna be honest, I did not think that part through.
Pokeballs.
Can we utilize the fusion dance from Dragon Balls?
Can I actually have everybody roll history for me?
I'm guessing that's a no.
It's a natural 15 plus, I think, a bunch, but I forgot. I just
I
accidentally
got
closed
a
mine.
13.
Okay.
13 as
It's
well.
at least a 10 for you, Kalt.
At a minimum 20 for me, probably somewhere in the mid-30s.
Well, Kalt, you're unconscious, so this all comes to you in a dream. But the 2 adults in the room, Jeddah and Locke,
2 adults in the room.
You're asleep.
You're asleep!
I'm in the room still.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
the 2 conscious
Respect
adults in the room
me.
that aren't throwing a little fucking pity party over here. You guys remember Galagath and Bate, and I guess Arlen back in Nar Enial, issuing instruction that the recombination of Galagath Lema and Seraphina could resurrect Asmogath, the god of chaos / god of time. The interpretations vary, but you know that the goal is to recombine Galagath, Lema, and Seraphina into Asmogath to rebalance whatever efforts are being made in Nar Enial to change time, to distort time, to create this alternate timeline. Even though it all seems contained in that inner tear, you know you need to bring Seraphina there to squeeze them all together. Without Lema, you don't really know how.
Yeah, so Jeddah says all that, and because that's a pretty concise description of what we need to do. So yeah, at the very least, maybe you can do something about the wall, the tear, the big thing that's blocking off Nar Enial from everything else. And
Maeve,
maybe
insight check, please.
16.
You recall, as Jed is talking, you recall from conversations with Lema at your last trip to Arianor that you were able to deduce that whatever caused the distortions in time, because you trace some of those back to Lema and her powers, was not related to the creations of the tear. So you know that they are distinct phenomena. You don't have to say anything, but that does occur to you while Jeddah is talking. But Jeddah, as you explain it, Seraphina's face, it's still smiling, but it looks so impatient. Like she looks very annoyed as you're explaining what has to happen.
Listen, I'm sure you understand most of this, but I would like the audience to be on the same page as us.
As you're explaining this, her annoyance is not that you're explaining it necessarily. It's she doesn't like what you're saying.
Oh, okay. You look like you got something to say. Is there something wrong with this? I kind of need you to not be like old, vague, mystical god here and just help me. Help you. Help us. Help you.
She takes a slow, deep inhale, and in a very sharp change in attitude, she says, "Oh, no, I'm not going to do any of... absolutely not. No. No. No.
What? Why not?
Well, one, you seem to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of the tear. I don't control the tears. I can't go through the tears. It's like a big old glass window. There's no way to move in or out of it. We're trapped here. And then to go in, do you know what the Magelords are doing in there? You know that this is their fault, right?" And she gestures largely to the open ocean around you. Like, I'm only here because of what they did. I think the second I step out there, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I've got a good thing going here. I'm happy to give you anything you need on your way, but you don't know what you're stepping into.
Listen, it's because the Magelords have something cooking that we need your help, okay? Like, whatever the Magelords are doing, it is something in service of Azakar. I feel like that's in your best interest to deal with that, all right? You say that's a glass window or whatever? Shatter it!
You see on the horizon, because the tear is visible in a distance, you see an ethereal fist manifest in the sky far behind you and slam into the tear, and it creates a blinding ripple across it, and you feel the wave of air as the shockwave hits you. It's not destructive, but it would be enough to wake somebody up. And she says, "That's the best you're gonna get."
What's the best you're gonna get? Oh, man, I feel terrible.
You all just witnessed Seraphina punching the tear and nothing happening.
We relay it to Kalt.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Listen, if you have a plan to go through the tear, I mean, good luck, I guess, but the best I can do is argue with knowledge, but
Excuse me, God, Seraphina, are you able to be smaller?
I mean, yes, why?
Like humans. Well, we have something called a tide pod that is able to circumvent and go underneath the tear. It's like it's very reasonable. It's like not even a thing, which is kind of surprising that you can't. Just pointing that out.
I'm from the other side of the tear. These guys have gone through, from and back from each side of the tear several times, I assume. So,
Seraphina squints at you when you say that, Jeddah, and then she looks off to the southeast, and then back at you, and then back at the southeast, and back at you, and says, "You're from in there? You are. You are."
Yeah.
And she really starts examining you. She's like, "That's not... You found a way to cross the timelines."
Yep, and if you don't believe it, you can talk to this universe's me.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand. I can see the war raging inside of the center of the Badlands. I can tell what's going on, the bombings, the shiftings. No, the timeline inside the tear, you've crossed from that to the timeline here in between.
Yes.
You don't know.
No, what?
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 I will be honest with you, and she shrinks down into a human projection, a human-sized projection, to speak at you all with eye level. I am afraid. Gods are not perfect or immortal in the sense that they can't die. I certainly don't age in the way that you do, but gods have agendas. Gods have limits. Our father, air quotes, certainly had his, and that is why I am here today. Lema had hers, and that is what brought you to my doorstep. I did not create the tears, and I suppose I didn't consider you wouldn't know their purpose. The cataclysm that took place in Nar Enial was a devastating attack, not just on the laws of mankind or the realms of magic, but on those of us that sought to keep any semblance of balance of power in the world. The attempts by Emperor Kaiser and the lineage of Azagar was blasphemous in the truest sense of the word, and sought to rip time asunder, as you have seen with your own eyes. The tears were meant to stop their spread, but the attack was based in the nature of time. By removing Asmagath, the goal was to take control of that flow. And she's looking around trying to see if any of you are keeping up.
I always just figured the tear was like just the equivalent of a natural disaster, right? Like a tsunami or a tornado doesn't have a purpose, it just does. But you're telling me the tear is there for a reason. If you didn't make it, who made it?
Like I said, gods have agendas. Asmagath's was to ensure the free will of people in this world and protect people that would rob them of it. Kaiser, their agenda was to rob them of that will by shaking the foundations of time itself. Lema sought to maintain order where she could here between the tears in which we are also trapped alongside you. In this central timeline, there is another god of balance that has no agenda of their own except to ensure no one entity, party, or person steps out of line. And the cataclysm was massive enough that the tears were their solution.
Okay,
So you can see how what you're asking is patently ridiculous to me. That you think I would risk my life going back and facing the same thing that killed me before? And what would we even do? The tears would still be risen. There's still a universe in the center, a universe in the Badlands, and a universe outside. I can only see them, but I cannot touch them. So to bring me with you wouldn't solve a thing.
One moment. Guys, can we huddle and just talk about this real quick? Just...
Sure, drag me over.
I drag him over.
Oh, no, that feels... Oh, no, my legs.
My leg.
Bottle Brew hears this also and steps into the huddle with all of you, and he says, so I know I'm a little bit behind on some of the particulars of what you experienced inside there. What the fuck is she talking about?
Just a recap. So, in fact, the tear is not just like a physical barrier between the islands and the mainland. It is, from what she just said, it is an entirely different universe. Just as the one at the center of this one is an entirely different universe.
And to reiterate about Asmagath and Azagar, so, there were two gods, they were twins, and they held domain over the same thing, time. But of course, Asmagath believed in, time is something that's changing, and Azagar believed in, fate, the idea that time is set in stone. And the two came into conflict, which led to Azagar, through Emperor Kaiser, leader of the Magelords, trying to destroy Asmagath. And
I take it that these are maybe very foundational Sunday school tales for you, because you're saying that like it's just something everyone should know, and it's blowing my frickin' gourd right now.
Well, the audience might not remember, so...
That's a fair point. You're very considerate. And at this point, for the players, I know that you're getting hit with a lot of exposition, so as you try to puzzle a next step, Seraphina is available to answer questions. She has at least proven that she is willing to discuss this with you, even if she is very hesitant to do anything.
Hey, Seraphina, just so I understand here. So, the Magelords, they tried to fuck around and find out. I'm good.
Well put.
So, the Magelords, they wanted to, take over time. Emperor Kaiser is bad in that. And so the tear is like this physical, divine barrier that kind of prevents whatever's happening in there from affecting where we are right now?
That is a concise summary, yes. As far as I can see, the flow of time within the central tear is separate from the one we are experiencing now, which is separate from the one being experienced outside of this. I believe I know the entity responsible for erecting the barriers, and suffice it to say, I have no reason to ask them to drop them. You saw what was happening to the flow of time within those barriers. Without a steward to ensure time is not being abused, even when you accomplished your goal and vanquished the Emperor, soon after, you were swept up in explosions of further attacks to repeat the same process. And you all recall that after Meant to Be, even though it seemed like you were in a paradise, you kept flipping back and forth between the timelines. That experience, if the tears are dropped, who knows what calamity would happen when 3 timelines begin to overlap.
So, Colin, can you just bring this back to the map?
Sure.
Because I totally forgot that there were 2 tears.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. I think that's why it was making sense.
Gotcha. Sure. Yeah. There's a central tear around Nar Enial, which you guys crossed for Meant to Be, and there's the massive original tear between the Badlands and the mainlands. Locke, please make an insight check.
I'm not feeling insightful today. Oh wow. Okay, I am feeling insightful today. That is an 18.
With an 18, as Maeve and Seraphina are explaining the delineation between timelines, that there are in fact 3 separate temporal realities living next to each other, you think back to Speak with the Dead with Kiso on the docks of the Black Tide hideout after you killed him. You asked a question about your family and where they were, and you were told they're somewhere, they're different. You had no idea what that meant, and you had no answers as to why. But you have a sense that perhaps Kiso knew a little more about the nature of things than you suspected. And that by saying they're somewhere else and they're different, well, what's more different than an alternate timeline where you came from?
Wait, if he came from an alternate timeline and he's referencing... Is he referencing them inside the tear, inside the Badlands?
Locke, if you have questions about that, I would love for you to ask them in character.
So Locke is realizing all of the things that you just said, right? Like he's going to draw like, okay.
Yeah.
So are they back in the timeline that I came from? Did I move? Am I in the original timeline and they moved to a different one? I don't understand how I would have been separated.
Who's they? Who are you talking about?
My family. I didn't...
She gestures to the west through the massive outer tear separating the Badlands from the mainland. She says, if your family is out there, I'm sure that in their flow of time and their experience, they are continuing forward as everyone else. But consider this, if the tears were to drop, which timeline would take priority? The one where they exist, or the one in here where they don't? And then she looks to Jeddah and says, the same could be said of your home. If these tears go down, there are going to be big decisions that have to be made. And a tear rolls down her face and she says, and I am not strong enough to make them. I believe I know the entity that erected them. I have held court with this particular being. If you choose to do so yourselves, I wish you the best of luck.
Honestly, that is my next question. Who is the entity who erected these barriers?
There is a creature that inhabits a deep dwelling near the south of this land that seeks simply, as I said, to ensure that no single person, party, or entity can assert dominant control over the world. In my mind, listen, I don't have to agree with their approach. Maybe the tears were a bit sloppy. They don't look great. They hurt. They're loud. They're bright. It's a huge disturbance for an otherwise idyllic island like this one. I don't love them. But nobody else seemed to have either the power or the willingness to do something to stop the Magelords' attack. Without the tears, who know how far it would have spread? Mr. Dragonman, your family could have been killed off 1,000 years ago. Who knows? It's only because of the tears that the devastation ended here. So you'd have to be pretty persuasive or pretty powerful to get them to drop them. And even if you did, I'm not sure what you would want. Bottle Brew is going to put his hat back on his head and say, my time with the Magelords revealed an ugly truth about how they operate. I was never privileged enough to understand the depth of their machinations, but they are an unrelenting force. They when they have a goal, they commit to it, and they have the sheer manpower to accomplish goals by attrition. If you're telling me that God's kept the land in balance and all it took was a well-organized government to bring it all to shite, I mean, who's to say that's not what they're trying to do again? Why do you think why do you think the Admiral brought us into Naranial in the first place? They are trying to do it again. They're trying to pick up where they left off.
Listen, from where I'm from, the Druids of Naranial are still fighting with the Magelords. The Magelords have not given up in what they're trying to do. Like, it's not a matter of, like, staying out of it. It is a matter of who gets to have a say on how time operates. And, like, I guess...
And you're starting to see the nature of my dilemma, because you ask me to go and help and fight, but at the end, I'm just going to get killed. I'm the kind of thing that they want dead because I stand in their way. It's much easier to live here on a quiet countryside and let things happen as they may.
What's the point of being a god if you choose just to reign over this island? What is the point, Seraphina? We have a chance to destroy the Magelords once and for all, and you'd rather sit here because you're afraid of dying. Everyone is afraid of dying all the time. This is the Badlands. It happens daily. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people across these islands die doing absolutely nothing. Wouldn't you want a chance to die doing something? If I could get a juice box, I would appreciate that.
She wipes tears away with one hand and conjures a juice box with the other.
Thank you. Parched. A bone's ache.
Yeah. Look around, man. All three timelines kind of blow. Like, in one timeline, there's a tyrannical government in charge. In the other timeline, it's a bunch of islands that are barely scraping by. And in the other, it is a non-stop war. I think the risk needs to be taken to do something better. If we can convince this entity that, like, we can, like, I don't know, we clearly don't have all the information, but, like, talking with this entity, maybe we can come to a solution, and maybe we can convince this entity to work with us here, man.
Now, you keep on saying entity being obfuscating its purpose. What is it? Is it like a half-orc, or is it a full orc, or is it some form of bird or turtle?
It's a birdle.
Or a birdle.
She looks between all of you. You are clearly having an impact on her and persuading her to at least reconsider her rather cowardly position. And she takes one final sigh and says, I know them as Lee, god, goddess, entity of balance is how their patrons used to worship them before everything got blown to shite. They typically exist in the form of a rather large, rather intimidating dragon.
Turtle. Dragon turtle?
No.
Just plain dragon.
Oh, have you met the dragon turtle?
Yeah, we met a giant turtle, but I think it was a dragon turtle.
Island, whole civilization, giant tree on their back, chasing a kraken through eternity?
Oh, yeah.
Life was so much easier there.
If you guys are mad at me for sitting here and doing nothing, to go and scream at the people living in paradise while all this happens.
Well, I mean, it's not on them. I mean, they're not gods.
No, it's not on me either. This isn't my fault. I'm being shitty. I'm sorry. Listen, there is no reason that the dragon would have any issue conversing with you, but I really doubt you can convince them it's safe, because if they bring down the tears, it's free reign. Anybody with a small grasp on how to manipulate the magics of time is suddenly going to be more powerful than ever before. There are going to be untold natural disasters, magical disasters, planes over... I don't know what's going to happen.
There must be a middle ground between absolute chaos and absolute desolation and destitution at the hands of the Magelords. There has to be something better than this.
Well, I mean, if Jedda's folktales are to be believed, that's exactly what the gods were for. But it seems we don't really have a god of time.
You know what? I volunteer.
I have a question. Something that we've never ever thought about.
Yeah.
So, Jeddah?
Yeah?
So you're like supposedly some sort of conglomerate, gabagool conglomerate in this timeline?
Yeah, no, that seems to be the case.
But you're also, like, the only person or entity to ever exist in multiple timelines. Like, you're here. Like, there's you, and then there's this other one in the same timeline. Like, how is that possible?
I have no idea.
If I could posit an answer, you have clearly, surprisingly demonstrated the ability to cross the tears between timelines through physical means. How you do so, I am not sure. If one person could cross into a timeline, it makes just as much sense that they would cross out, but you're right that their coexistence is a quandary. This did all happen in the domain of Lema, though, so perhaps she, in her many efforts, managed to stabilize things more than I thought. And she has like a little bit of regret in her voice, realizing that, like, oh, I was sitting here being a cowardly weenie while my sister was out there actually still trying to keep the world running. At this, Maeve, I would like you to roll a religion check.
Can I volunteer Kalt for this?
Everybody, please roll a religion check.
Okay.
I'm good at religion, though, so...
I'm so good at religion.
I'm like so good. I was a priest before I killed my dad.
I got a 9.
19, sorry.
10.
I got a 2 + 1. That's a 3.
Jetta and Kalt, you get a little bit of brainwave here, because as Seraphina is describing how Lema, like, lorded over things and doesn't really know how, you think back to your most recent encounter on Arianor, where you were faced with a decision. The timelines were split, and you had to choose how to resolve them. What she's saying, as an impossibility, you realize is something you've already done.
Yeah, we totally did that already. We're pretty badass.
Oh shit! Right. With the weird.
She turns into the Fallout meep that says, "Hold up, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
with the swirly arms.
we trimmed a timeline already.
Oh yeah, no, like in Lema's.
She looks
island,
so perplexed.
In Lema's island, there was like a situation where it was like some.
It was a superposition. Superposition? Oh, why is my mouth not working? Oh, I'm tired.
Like 3 timelines were crashing into each other, and like we eventually like solved it by like basically choosing one timeline to go through, right? Like
to crash into.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you know, like there were like 3 fountains, and like, you know, activating all 3 fountains. Then we had to fight a scary ass fucked up thing. Don't like thinking about that fucked up thing.
Bottle Brew is scratching his head and is like, what in the world do you
Yeah,
I get the feeling that you're way more important people in this world than I am. This is perplexing.
There was a superposition of 3 different timelines, 3 different branching possibilities, but one had not been chosen. We were the deciding factor in its choice.
Hey, excuse me. I know that there are probably a million follow-up questions on, like, ascent to godhood, powers of mortals, extent of magical powers, yada, yada, yada. You're all people. She's trying really hard not to, like, use mortal as, like, a really offensive, like, pejorative right now. She's like, you're all not gods, technically.
Depends on your definition. I have created life. If Jerry were here, I could prove it to you.
I could actually bring him up on the walkie-talkie. It's damning evidence. How do you purport to execute this power? What gives you this link? At this point, she's just confused. Like, you're teaching her now. She's like, I maintained what semblance of power I could through the awful transition. Is this what Lema has been doing? And how did you follow in her footsteps?
Excellent questions. Well, first of all, Bottle Brew, you remember when you said, like, I feel like you guys are the main characters and I'm just a bit player. One should also
maybe a little more meta than how I would have phrased it, but yeah, something along those lines.
One should also posit that Kalt, Maeve, and Locke are the big 3. I very much feel like I'm in the same place that you, Balbrew, are in. And Maeve, aren't you like a descendant of like Asmagath or something? Or would Jetta know that?
Seraphina's head whips over to Maeve so fucking hard at this.
Isn't that why all the crazy wild magic shit happens?
Jenna, can I talk to you in this corner? Why don't you have a seat?
Okay, I have a seat.
Why would you say that in front of Seraphina?
Listen, there's a lot going on, and I feel like having our cards on the table would be nice.
Okay. Okay, cool, let's...
And she looks between you and she was like, I was impressed with the creepy man's ability to maintain the rupture caused by the stealing of my powers. That is a level of ability that most spellcasters and magic wielders do not achieve. So kudos to you, my fine creepazoid.
Whoa, I was very happy with the first set part of the sentence, but the ending really soured it.
But you're our creepazoid.
Kalt, this is the second time in the campaign that somebody in this party has expressed affection for you.
I love that we keep a tally of it.
This is the second time this has happened. And this
an
comes from
insult.
Maeve, who has avoided you like the plague in favor of Locke and Edmund. And she just said, you are her creepazoid. I would really like you to roll our creepazoid. I would like you to roll a wisdom save.
That's pretty high, actually. 15 plus. That's my wisdom save. Actually, I have to think. Yeah, so that's the 22 wisdom save. 22.
You tell me, you are in control of yourself. How does this surge of emotional response hit that your lifelong quest for acceptance and friendship seems to have been completed?
I would argue that the creepazoid kind of diffuses it a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Kalt would be like, well, glad to be... How about we just say a friend instead of freakazoid?
Well, I didn't say freakazoid. I also didn't say friend, so...
Well, what...
Bottle Brew is gonna, after lashing out at Maeve in the last episode, it's like, couldn't you just call the guy your friend? Like, is that so much to ask? Really?
Like,
and he looks at like Locke too, like, come on, you've been through the ringer together. If you're not friends, I don't know what the hell you are.
You see Kalt look at you with the biggest puppy dog eyes. You see his his lower lip just kind of pout out just a little.
Don't get me wrong, I still like to keep a firm distance between me and him. But if I'm saying from the outside, I've never quite seen a group of folks like you.
Kalt, thank you for saving us. And Maeve is going to give him a hug.
Oh, thank you. Anything for a friend?
She pulls away.
Oh, okay.
Locke, how do you respond to all of this?
Does he also give me the puppy dog eyes?
I'm giving puppy dog eyes to everybody. Except for maybe Bobo, but...
Kalt, we've been through a lot together, and I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else but you, my friend. And then I will go give him a hug.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
And as we're hugging, I will whisper in his ear, I'm sorry that it took me this long to truly appreciate what you've done, not only for me, but for the party. But, dear God, I need you to relax some of the time.
I'm super chill. No, yeah, for sure.
I want you to tell me that you will stop trying to steal people's fingies upon firstly meeting them.
You're really putting me in a corner here. Creatively speaking.
It is very difficult for me to be friends with a fingy-stealing monster, okay?
First of all, I did not steal. I did not attempt to steal fingies. I called them fair and square.
Just...
Fine. Only a fingy every once in a while. If it's an every once in a while treat.
Only a fingy if the person is already dead.
Or chicken fingies.
Chicken fingies are acceptable.
Ooh, what's a chicken fingy?
Last time I checked, I don't think chickens have fingers.
Yeah, chickens don't have fingies. Are you talking about, just like a chicken foot?
No, I believe she's referring to a mainland delicacy. Would it be main-time delicacy? I don't know. You should really try them when we get the chance. Hey, you orc one, your counterpart probably could expand the business in that direction if you ever make a connection. At this, Seraphina is going to look at the group and say, that was all lovely, congratulations. I'm not going to lie, sort of taken aback that you have managed to exercise some of the capabilities of my father and of my sister. If you are going to hold court with the with Lee, the dragon, the balance person, the tear creator, you certainly have a stronger case than I ever could present. Almost left that sentence dangling there. I do not know how I can assist you, and to be honest, I don't have a lot of confidence in the plan. So I will grant you what you wish and wish you the best of luck myself. But if this is a final adventure you're going to take, she looks at Kalt and she says, well, you ask what the point is of staying here and doing nothing. It's all I have left. If you have something else to fight for, looking at Locke, by all means, fight for it. And then she sort of like recedes a little bit and steps back. And Bottle Brew then takes the initiative to say, well, whatever we're doing, I imagine the Magelords have been aware of these dynamics longer than us, and any attempt to interfere or to change the status quo will bring about their wrath. It will take more than just a few people in a small boat to sail to a dragon. I imagine we'll meet some resistance.
Listen, we have the strongest dragonborn to have ever walked this earth. The most powerful mage I have ever seen, with his army of zombie friends, the descendant of a god who has done some crazy shit, like mind-boggling stuff, the captain of a crack team of pirates. I know you're not technically the captain, but give yourself some credit, man. And we got me, one half of two of the slyest rogues ever. We got this. Whatever comes our way, I say bring it on.
Yeah, let's go steal a dragon.
Yeah, we'll murder whoever gets in our way. You know, other stuff. Maybe we won't take their fingies this time.
Locke will look each one of them in the eye and then put his hand out in the middle of the group and like motion for everybody to put their hand in as well.
Oh, Locke is down for it. Or not Locke, but Kalt is down for it.
That's 2 hands in the center of the circle.
3.
Jetta makes 4.
And Bottle Brew puts his hand on top and he's like,
Yeah, I've been in this since episode 4. Why the fuck not?
Meta jokes.
We got a lot of meta jokes in this one.
we have to. It's the centennial.
Yeah.
And then with all the hands in the middle, there's an awkward pause, and then Bottle Brew says, wait, what is this? What are we doing? What's the... And he looks at Locke.
Break!
Okay, hands up.
We'll work on that.
We're gonna do what a god is supposed to do when a god doesn't want to do it.
And Seraphina looks so fucking embarrassed right now. You just pissed all over her territory, and rightly so, because she is not showing up, and you guys are. I'm glad that the world has people in it braver than myself, and I suppose you're the first people to come up with a plan that could maybe set things back, at least close, to how they were before the Magelords screwed it all up. I'm sorry I can't go with you, but I'm not completely out of tricks, and I'm not as weak as I might behave. So let me ask this. With the powers of a goddess at your disposal, what is your wish? And there we go.
Perfect.
That's
It took a lot of things, but I did post the GIF of it in the in the production.
Yeah.
Illusion, Michael.
Illusions, Michael tricks or something a whore does for money. I took a lot of willpower to not say that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch out my recording now.